Figure out something. Figure out your thing. What's up, man? How are you?
Good.
Chris.
Jason.
Nice to meet you, man.
Likewise.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Why don't we start out by just give me like a rundown of where you're from, what you're working on, give me the whole picture.
So I'm here from LA. I was born and raised in LA. I'm 24 years old. My name is Jason.
Nice.
I've lived 2 years of my life in Mexico. I moved out here back in 2015, and I've been here ever since.
Great, great. And what are you, like, what are you working on, or you have a job, or what's that situation?
So I own my own business. It's a ready mix company.
Yeah.
We transport concrete. We're basically in any job site, either doing driveways, pools, backyards, patios,
Great.
anything that involves concrete, basically.
Great, great. And how's it going? Well?
It's going well. I've been in business for about a year and 3 months now on my own, and it's going well. It's growing.
Got it. What's the biggest like challenge with it?
Getting customers, like your own customers.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest challenge.
And how do you get like how do you get customers? What's your number one like way?
Just word of mouth. I've tried social media. I opened up my own Instagram account recently. I haven't got any customers through there, but I think word of mouth.
Yeah, great. Okay, hit me. Any questions you got? Anything? I'm a open book.
Okay, so well, me starting out my own business now that I'm my own boss, I feel like yes, it's amazing having your own business, being your own boss, but I also see myself having less time for myself. Yeah. Because I'm just so focused on my business. It's like consuming me. Yep. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you do it? Like, you have all these businesses, you're doing the podcast, you're doing the Mentor Monday now. Yeah. Like, how do you manage to, have you gave up some responsibilities, put other people in charge of responsibilities you had? Like, what's
so
the
there's a few
secret?
things. Like, I think definitely delegating responsibilities is really important and really hard, you know? But I think as you grow and as you find yourself, you know, there's always a handoff that happens where it's more worthwhile to pay someone to handle certain things than to try to handle all of them yourself, right? And you just have to kind of be the personal judge of when that time is and what those tasks are, and you know what I mean, where your time is best spent. And also on top of that, I think that it's about scheduling your time as smart as you possibly can and say, you know, okay, I wake up at this time, I have personal time for an hour, I start checking my phone and emails at this time, blah, 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 blah. And then also scheduling when you shut those things off, you know, and when you do have your own time. Because I think one thing that a lot of like business owners do is, you know, when employees leave, for the most part, when they leave the office, they're done until the next day. And they're not thinking about anything, and they're not having fun with their friends, and that's not their responsibility. Well, the thing for business owners is you don't really have that freedom, right? But the thing is, you have to remind yourself of that on your own. And you have to say, like, look, from 9 p.m. on, I'm done. You know, my phone's over here. If there's an emergency, I'll see it. But other than that, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, watching a movie, hanging out with my friends, whatever. And you just have to, it's really important, the same way it is to like discipline yourself when it's time to work. You have to discipline yourself when it's time to relax and have some personal time. And that's something that people just don't talk about enough. And one thing that I've learned is like, if you're truly enjoying your time off and your time not working, you're just going to work that much harder when it is time to work. And everyone that's relying on you and everyone that's counting on you will appreciate the fact that you're more focused and you're more on point when it's work time than always walking around feeling like you're just spread too thin and you're overwhelmed and the work never stops. I mean, that's not a fun person to work for. That's not a good leader. That's not any of those things. So I think scheduling everything that you know you're supposed to do, including break time, is really, really important.
I agree.
and you can't feel bad about it. You know, like it's your responsibility to be mentally relaxed and sound and excited and ready to work. You know, that's your responsibility too, and you only get that from relaxing from time to time.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
The guy I used to work for before I bought my own truck, I have 2 trucks now. Before I bought my first one, he told me, just to give you a heads up, once you do buy your first truck, your freedom's not going to be the same. And he was 100% like on point.
Yeah.
So he told me, like, once you're done as a driver, you park the truck and you go home and you do your own thing.
Yep.
But as a business owner, you're not done.
Yep. It's very true.
Yeah.
And it's true. And that's what, you know, part of that is the price. Here's the line that you have to figure out for yourself. Part of that is the price you pay for having all the upside, right? And having the potential to make a lot of money and having the potential to whatever. But the other thing is, part of that is just not true. Meaning, some people are just bad at managing their time, you know? And I think that all of the most successful, hardest working people that I've met or read about or studied know how to schedule family time, alone time, whatever time they need, they schedule it and they take it just as serious as work time. And I think that that's what a lot of people aren't taught. It's just kind of this rule of like either you're an employee and you have hours, or you're an entrepreneur and you never do.
Yes.
And that's not 100% true. There is a middle ground there that's, sure, you have to work harder than everyone, you have to work longer hours than everyone, you have to always be there if someone needs you, but you also have to, like I said, schedule your own time and be accountable to, you know, your personal life as well.
Yes.
It's important. What else?
So I'm sure you've heard this maybe a million times, but how is it that you, like, it has to do with passion? Did you know before moving out here to LA from Ohio, did you know that the apparel business was something that you were truly passionate about? Or was it like you saw an opportunity, you had a following, a lot of people, like a lot of eyes were on you already, and you said, maybe I can use this to leverage my company, and I'm just going to take the chance?
For sure. So my life has very much been about taking advantage of opportunity, you know, and being prepared, and when and following opportunity and seeing something kind of opening up and trying it. And also there's been a lot of things that I thought were opportunities that weren't. You know, I've tried a lot of things that haven't worked. And
like what?
Like a lot of other businesses, and you know, I had an entire career that I was pursuing as a music producer that I just bailed on. You know, I used to make beats and be a music producer.
Beats.
Yeah, and that's that I bailed out on that one quick, right?
Yeah.
My real dream when I was a kid was to be a professional skateboarder. I realized that I wasn't good enough to do that, so what's another thing? Then I wanted to be a skateboard filmer, you know, or a photographer, and that didn't work, and so, you know what I mean? So it's been this kind of navigating process more than just my dream is to be this, and I'm not going to stop at anything until it becomes that, right?
Yes.
So there is no right answer. For some people, they had a dream and they chased it and they knew it since they were 8 years old and they achieved it, and that's great. There's also a lot of people who had a dream, refused to look at the other opportunities because they were too busy worried about that one dream, and ended up nowhere. You know, and then there's people who tried to chase opportunity and that didn't pan out either. So you just have to go on your journey and on your path. And I think that, once again, something that's not talked about enough is the ability to look at your life, look at what's available to you, look at where there's opportunities to grow or evolve or start something. And then when you see that, aggressively give it a try without second guessing. And then you also try it, and if it's not for you, or it doesn't work out, or the market isn't what you thought it was, then you bail out, you know, and you try the next thing and you keep moving. But, you know, for me, the main things that worked were, you know, was the clothing company, Young and Reckless, and my podcast is working great. I didn't know if that would work whatsoever. And so that's where I've kind of landed now in what is my life, because it's the things that stuck, it's the things that work, and those are the things that I doubled down on, you know?
Some people have told me, like, you should focus on one thing. Like, don't be doing 10 things at once, just focus on one thing, get good at it.
Yep.
But you just said the complete opposite. Like, find something that once you find something that you're good at and that's working, then like you said, double down?
Yeah, in my opinion, life is a process of doubling down on what is working and constantly trying to reinvent new things, right? So like some of the, Blockbuster Video focused really well on one thing. Where are they now?
Bankrupt.
You know what I'm saying? They should have been thinking about what Netflix did, right?
Yeah.
They should have been working on the thing that worked really well while trying other things.
Yes.
There's countless numbers of companies who did one thing really well and wrote it right back into the ground. And I just think that when it comes to your professional life, you should be doing what you do really well and constantly taking a look and trying other things and experimenting on what could be next or what could be a new opportunity. And do it in a way that if you're wrong, you can bail out. You know what I mean? You try it, it doesn't work, all right, screw it, we move on to the next thing. But I think to just get complacent and only focus on one thing is really, really, really risky.
Yes.
You know? Even with Young and Reckless, even just contained within Young and Reckless, we have tried so many different things. You know, like developing an entire girls line that looked like it was Forever 21 and it was all these different things. It didn't work. We bailed out. No, because who cares? You know what I mean? Like we tried denim for men. We thought there was no way that anyone would want to buy jeans from Young and Reckless. Turns out it's our biggest thing that we make now. So now we do denim everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's jeans, right, in the Young and Reckless warehouse. We're constantly attacking what works while experimenting with what could possibly be next. And I think that you should do that in your professional life as well, you know?
So I remember seeing you on the Fantasy Factory, Robin Big, and you were just this really quiet like character. How did you become the person you are now, like outgoing, outspoken? And
well, I think first and foremost, like when all that stuff started, I was 19 years old, and I was much more quiet and soft-spoken, and also I was surrounded by, I had just moved to LA, and there's cameras all around, and so that's really how that started, like on Robin Big. And then I think as it went into Fantasy Factory, obviously I was growing and evolving and, starting Young and Reckless and getting smarter, but at the same time, that was my dynamic on that show. That was my role. That was who I played. And so even as it went on, I would just kind of exaggerate that as in my personal life, I'm learning and evolving and growing. And I think what happened is that eventually stopped, 4 years ago, and I continued to just kind of grow and evolve. And I think it just now, like I took a couple years of doing nothing like content-wise. I think just now, in the last year, I've really just felt like, okay, I feel confident enough and secure enough in my knowledge to actually put some of this out. And I think for the longest time, I just felt like I have no business like talking like this or telling anyone what they should do, because I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Yes.
And I think I'm still very much doing that, but I'm just at the point where I would rather kind of learn publicly. I'd rather learn on my podcast. I'd rather learn during Mentor Mondays. I'd rather have the discussions and at least be able to add some value while I'm creating the content, So it just kind of, you just get there, I don't think anyone should rush it. I think if you're feeling unsure or unclear, the last thing you need to do is be putting out videos telling other people what to do.
Yeah.
But if you want to learn on video and you want to evolve on video, I think that's really cool. And I think it'll just kick in and you'll be like, man, I see a lot of people asking, on my social media and stuff, I would see a lot of people asking the same questions. And so that's even for Mentor Monday. That's why I thought like, well, why don't I just do a video series just talking to people and answering questions or having conversations, because I can hopefully give that one person a little bit of inspiration, and by posting it, I can give a couple thousand other, you know what I mean? And so why not kill multiple birds with one stone? So that's what really happened.
I love it.
Thank you,
It's
man.
good so
Thank
far.
you. Even with the podcast, when I first started the podcast, I was like, man, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't belong here. This sucks. And,
Sure.
2 years in, I feel great.
Yes.
But it was only from going on the ride, and everything's just kind of coming together.
I recently saw the Long Story Short with Tom Bilyeu,
Yeah.
Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah, the super pod.
Yes,
Yeah.
Superpod. And something you mentioned on there was that you think everyone should start a podcast.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that because in the business that I'm in, there's a lot of people that are way more successful than me, making tons of money compared to what I'm making.
Yep.
And their stories are unique. I've had the chance to talk to a lot of people that, like mechanics that have worked on my trucks.
Yeah.
Other people that are in the same business as me that have 5 times more equipment that I do.
Yeah.
And it's just like hearing their stories, it was inspirational to me.
Yeah.
It was motivating because a lot of them, for example, were like homeless. They started with nothing.
Yeah.
They came up and like no English, no Spanish. Like they learned everything to the point where they're at now.
Yeah.
And it's just like if more people can hear about that, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. I agree. And that's why, that's the exact reason why I started mine, was because I realized that having these conversations was giving me so much energy, right? And motivation. And so once again, I was like, well, why don't I just have these conversations on a podcast? Because then everyone else can have the same thing, right? And what you realize is as you build an audience, as you build a reputation, as you build awareness, it becomes easier and easier to get bigger and bigger people to do it. And naturally, at the same time that that's happening, you're getting more and more comfortable even having these conversations, And then next thing you know, before you even know it, your entire circle of friends and relationships and people that you're talking to every day are just different and a little better and a little smarter and you know what I mean? And so that's the exact reason why I think anyone in any industry should start one.
Yes.
Because it forces you to go have conversations that you wouldn't normally have. It forces you to ask questions that you wouldn't normally ask. And it forces you to build new relationships. And man, the magic that can come out of that you're not even thinking about is like you could start a podcast tomorrow and next year have 17 trucks and whatever the dream is simply because of the people you met and the advice you got from talking to someone once a week. That could very well happen,
Yes.
And the other part that people aren't thinking of, everyone's thinking like, I don't know about my audience. I don't know how many people would listen. Who gives a shit about any of that, right?
Yes.
If you go to people and say, hey, I have a podcast, I'd love to have you on it. It's all about blah, blah, blah. I think you'd be great for my audience. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. They don't know. They don't know if you have thousands of people. They don't know. And so who cares if your podcast has 10 listeners? Every episode for 1 year, you're going to be better in a year because you had those conversations.
Yes.
And that's why a podcast is just simply an excuse to force yourself to do it once a week, to go hit people up out of your comfort zone. It's just an amazing thing that I think everyone should do.
That's what I was thinking. Like the first person that would benefit is obviously me.
Yeah.
I'm the first person that gets to speak to the guest.
Oh, yeah.
And second, like I have some friends whose like parents I would like to like interview and who I've actually talked with and have inspired me, motivated me.
Yep.
And I feel like if their kids got a chance to see that, they would be like, wow, like my dad's a superhero.
Yeah.
I think they just take it for granted. Like they've lived with that parent for so long that they just, it's normal to them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool, man. Like
Yeah.
even if you did a podcast about the people we take for granted. Like here's a dude who's just working his ass off that used to be homeless, that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's just look at like the people we're not thinking about.
Exactly.
Like anything.
Like
It's
they're
just,
not celebrities.
It's so cool.
or
Yeah.
anything.
That's so cool. And like I don't know. I think people just discount in this day and age the power that we actually have with the internet and social media and everything that's available to us. The problem is it's on us to organize, to come up with a concept and to execute. Because YouTube isn't going to do it for you. Instagram isn't going to do it for you. You have access to all this shit, but what are you using it for? Figure out your, whatever it is, and man, all of these platforms start working for you really quick. You know what I mean? If you start putting them to work.
I just like trucking was a stepping stone for me, and I'm very grateful for it. But that's all I see it as, just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
To increase my income, to have a little bit more money to make work on other projects, like side projects.
Yep.
But I don't see myself doing trucking 5 years from now because I mean, I moved down from Mexico in 2015. I had $80 in my pocket, $60 in my bank account. So basically $140 to my name. And I just worked my ass off to save up $35,000 in order to buy my first truck. And then I bought my second one just 3 months ago. I know in 5 years I can scale this business to $500,000, but that's not my goal. Like, that's not my passion. And I don't want to put all this energy into something I'm just not passionate about. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, I get that. I think you're on the right path. I think you're doing all the right things. I think, like, you know, you've got to an incredible level. Like, already what you've accomplished coming here with that much money, like, it's pretty insane, and it's something to be super proud of. And I think that you should, you know, now you're in a great position. You can make money, you can be stable, you can all that stuff because you've started your own company, you have this truck, whatever. And then I think just get really clear on, like, what it is that you do want to do, where that's going to go exactly, how much time do you need to spend on your work currently to still be safe and have your good income, and then how much time can you allot to the new thing, and then don't forget to carve out that time to relax a little bit, you know? And if you do that, I think you've already accomplished, like I said, so much. You show you have the willpower and that you can overcome anything to get what you want done. So this is just the beginning of that, you know?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
So with your financial success, I'm sure you've like, family and friends have benefited from it in a positive way, but I'm also wondering if you've ever had any, like, negative experiences due to your financial success with either family or friends, and how have you dealt with that?
Not too bad, because I've kept, you know, I don't know. I think that I was lucky to have some older friends, and I was lucky to have made some financially successful friends before I was too financially successful. And I think there was a lot of, like, red flags and stuff that I was able to be aware of, you know? Yeah, I think there's kind of the obvious things, but I don't have any, like, massive horror story, you know? But I'm also pretty, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not a dick, but I don't mind being kind of blunt with people, you know? Like, if people ask me for money that I can't, you know, it's just like, no, dude. Like, I can't. Not that guy, you know? And then there's some people, like, you know, that need to borrow some money that have always looked out for me and whatever, and family or whatever, and, like, I'm there for you, I got you, but here's the rules, you know? Like, you say you'll pay me back by this time or whatever, great, then these are the rules. And if you do that, then great, we're all good. If not, if you promise me one thing and don't give back to your promise, or stay true to your promise, then all good. Like, I'll take the loss on one, but it just will never happen again. And I think that's how you have to be. I think that when people start to become financially successful, naturally you want to just share it with everyone. And that's great. And it's a great feeling.
Yes.
But you just got to look out for yourself, and you got to set the boundaries early, you know, because it's harder to correct bad behavior from the people around you than it is to set the tone from the beginning, you know? And I don't know. I think I've learned, if you do that and you're honest with people, and you explain yourself to people, and you're clear on your boundaries, people don't get that crazy, you know? Like, people get crazy when you're not clear on your own stuff. And when you maybe lend some money and then you say no, or when you whatever, and naturally there's going to be people that just act crazy, and that's okay. You know, I think I got used to that early from doing the TV stuff. People acted so crazy and weird around us, you know, and it's like, all right, all good, you know. What are you going to do? You got to look out for yourself and the people closest to you, and it always works out.
What's your opinion on education in 2018, like getting a college degree?
Me personally, I think, this is what I think. I think if you have a dream or a goal that you need college for, like a doctor, engineer, whatever, absolutely. Go to college, go to the best college you can possibly get into, do the best you possibly can. If not, if anything other than that, absolutely it's a complete waste of time and waste of money. That's what I think. I think that the amount of information that you can expose yourself to find out what you like with podcasts and with social media and YouTube and all this, there's so much information. You can find a passion by looking at those things, by traveling, by exploring new cities, by meeting new people. That's a lot cheaper than college tuition.
Yes.
I also think a lot of jobs, modern day marketing jobs, social media marketing, PR, all of these big like jobs that a lot of young people want, you can learn better from experience and from podcasts and from meeting people than you can from some of these outdated educations. Mm-hmm. And I just think a lot of young people go to college because they think that's at the end of the 4 years, they're going to be given like a career, a passion, a stable income, and like just sent off into this beautiful world, you know? And instead you're kind of left a little bit more confused. You've been partying a little bit too much.
Yeah.
You got student debt, you know? And it's just like, well, shit, what do I do now?
Yes.
And that's the part I don't like. And I don't, I get a lot of backlash for hating on college, but I don't say it because I hate on anyone who went to college or I don't like colleges. I think there's just a bit of robbery happening. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to like say that for all the people that finish college and go out into the world with debt, still don't know what they want to do, and their education doesn't even apply to what they're doing to make money to try to pay off this debt. I think that's robbery.
Yes.
You know?
I agree. One last thing, if you could tell the 18-year-old drama one thing, one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would tell myself to like chill out a little bit, like I think that naturally when you're hungry and when you're ambitious, like you want it all to happen now. And you kind of like, you might do some new behavior or some new like thing, some new habit you're trying to create, and you're just kind of like, it didn't happen soon enough, so I'm gonna stop. And I think that I've always had like the right intentions, and I've always wanted to learn and grow and get better and succeed. But I just think I wasted a lot of time like being too anxious, or why is it not happening yet? Why is it, And sure enough, if you do the right things for long enough, it starts to come together. And sometimes it comes together in ways that you didn't even imagine, that weren't part of your plan. And so I just think, I just tell myself to like, just chill out a little.
Chill out.
Got it. That's it. We did it, man. Thank you, brother. It was great meeting you. Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it.
And congrats with everything.
Thank you.
Just keep pushing, And schedule some break time, damn it.